Welcome to the State of Maplewood Luncheon. I'm Mark Jenkins. I chair the Maplewood Housing and Economic Development Commission, and I am thrilled to celebrate a year worth of Maplewood achievements with all of you in the room today. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to start off by thanking some of our speakers today. I want to thank Ann Anaya from 3M for being our keynote speaker. We're absolutely looking forward to your presentation, your comments today. I'd also like to welcome Ahsan Ansari from the As-Salam Mosque. He'll be presenting our invocation today. While we're recognizing folks, as a member of a commission, I'll take the license, it's also in my script, to recognize our citizen volunteers who serve on Maplewood's commissions. Would you guys please stand up? We want to recognize what you do for the city. Come on, it's more than him. I've seen you. Come on. Okay. So thank you to the citizen volunteers who help run this city by providing their time and expertise to our commissions. Would also recognize any of our state representatives, but if I'm right, they're all in like day 3 of session, so I don't think any are here. But if you're playing hooky from work, okay. No state representatives to recognize today. And finally, I want to recognize our premier sponsors, Bolton and Menk and City and County Credit Union, for their ongoing support of city events. We want to thank them, but we also want to put in a very blatant pitch. If you want to engage in city events like this, you have at your seat the 2019 partnership brochure. We would be happy to welcome your engagement in events like this as well. So take a look at that. At this time, I'd like everyone to rise for the presentation of colors. And if you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to thank Maplewood's Police Department Honor Guard for your dedication and service. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, absolutely. At this time, I'd like to introduce Maplewood City Manager, Melinda Coleman.
2018 has been a great year in Maplewood, and people are starting to take notice of us. Some of it might be due to the crazy election we had last year. But we've also had much more information to share with you today about the many positive things happening in our community. First of all, if you've read the news, you know that Mayor Slawick is now the chair of the Metropolitan Council. She was appointed by Governor Walz a couple weeks ago, so she is off on a new adventure. Councilmember Tu Zhang now represents us in the House, and we are very happy for him. We've lost 2 members of our council, but now we have strong representation to hear the concerns and our voices from the Northeast Metro, and we see that as a very positive thing. We are really proud of their accomplishments, and we look forward to working with them in their new roles. We have a lot of additional good news we're going to share with you this morning. The first thing I wanted to mention was our new community building in Wakefield Park. This will be open this spring. This will be a great gathering spot for our residents, and we've also done some additional park upgrades and really improved the lake water quality there, which was really important to our residents that live near there. Our collaborations with the business community continue to prosper through our partnership with the St. Paul Chamber. In the last 2 years, we visited 35 of our businesses. In the last 2 years, companies gave us a solid snapshot about how they're doing. Some are in growth mode and some are in innovation mode. but most of them are just holding steady, which is good. They're generally concerned about current transit opportunities for their workers, but they're very optimistic about the promise of a Gold Line and a Rush Line bus rapid transit in our community. Nearly all of them face hiring challenges. It's hard to find good workers. In most cases, they need to be trained. So those are some of the challenges that we heard about from our business community. These conversations with our businesses have been very beneficial both for us and for them, and we are continuing our partnership with St. Paul Chamber moving forward in 2019. We also are more engaged with our diverse populations and our faith communities. You will hear more specifics about these initiatives and accomplishments over the next couple hours. But first of all, I'd like to say that it is my pleasure to welcome you all here today to the State of Maplewood Luncheon. It's great to see so many familiar faces, partners, and a few new guests as well. These accomplishments and many more that you'll hear about today are due to our senior leadership team and their staff, as well as our City Council's policy direction and oversight. And also, as you heard, we do have a lot of advisory board members who help us with our direction that we're going at the city. Some of our departments provide services directly to residents. Residents take notice of this, and we've actually gotten high marks for quality of services provided when we do community surveys. Other staff of ours, they work behind the scenes. I am really pleased that I'm the person that leads these departments. And I want you to know that each and every one of us will do whatever it takes to serve our residents and our businesses in any way we can. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of our departments, and I'd like to ask the department heads, when I say your name, you hear your name being spoken, to stand up, and if you have staff with you, to have them stand with you. So I'd like to start with our finance director, Ellen Paulseth. She has set us on an aggressive path to reduce our capital debt. We also had the smallest levy increase for 2019 in all of Ramsey County, and we are building a stronger general fund balance. We were able to accomplish these things due to policies and fiscal discipline set by Ms. Paulseth and her team. Ellie, thank you. We also know that a modern IT system is critical for efficient government operations. I would like to thank Michael Folds. Thank you, Michael. He's our Maplewood Information Technology Director, and his department is the folks that keep us all connected with each other and with all of you. In addition, Michael has been instrumental in helping many of our departments implement new software programs to be more efficient. One of those tools is called Cartograph. It allows us to track all of our city assets, including our infrastructure, our park equipment, and even something like all of our ash trees that have EAB, or emerald ash borer disease. And it can do much, much more than that. So thank you, Michael, and your team. Here's a fun fact that I find fascinating. Maplewood has 135 miles of streets that we have to maintain and repair. That's in addition to an extensive sewer system, acres of parks to maintain, and of course, snow plowing. Public Works Director Steve Love, I think he's here somewhere, thank you, Steve, and his crew do a fabulous job keeping our vital infrastructure operational and well-maintained. I hear a lot of positive feedback about the great job our crews are doing at removing snow in a timely manner. I hear a lot of complaints from people, but the things that I hear the most positive things about are our snow plowing. So thank you to Steve and his crew for that. We have 50 parks and preserves, an extensive trail system and nature center, and our Park and Recreation Department is one of our best assets. It hosts a variety of community engagement events, recreational activities, and sports leagues for people of all ages. Audra Robbins, are you here? Thank you, Audra. Audra is our Park and Rec manager, and her amazing team provide the play when we say that Maplewood is a great place to live, work, and play. Our big park news for 2019 is our new Wakefield Community Building. This will be a great community gathering place and will host all kinds of programming for our kids and families, and will also accommodate banquet and meeting space as well. The city is fortunate to have 3 leaders at the helm of our public safety department, and those are Chief Nadeau, Public Safety Director Nadeau, Chief Lucan, and Chief Mondor. Are you guys here? There you go. They are constantly working towards operational efficiencies among police, fire, and EMS while ensuring each excel in their areas of expertise. Director Nadeau has also been doing a fantastic job with his staff of getting out into the community and meeting with our diverse populations in their neighborhoods and at their places of worship. Thank you. All of these departments are critical for retaining and helping attract more people to our community. However, Maplewood can't truly grow without a focused, well-guided, and futuristic community development plan. Our staff knows that the word futuristic always makes me smile, and it brings a smile to some of our management team and council too. And you may ask, why would that word just kind of set us off? It does because, as staff knows, I'm a strong believer in StrengthsFinder, which is something that is done by the Gallup organization, and it focuses on your 5 main talents or strengths and what you're best at. So I believe that focusing on our strengths helps ensure that we are working at our best every day. Every employee and council member at the City of Maplewood knows their 5 strengths. Only a few people in our organization, however, have that talent called futuristic, and that is Mike Martin. He has been doing an excellent job as our interim community development director since about last September. His futuristic strength continues to make him a valuable leader in our economic development efforts. Last year, he led our 2040 comp plan process, and that included a steering committee made up of advisory board members, residents, our business community, and city council. We had numerous study sessions. I think we met monthly. And then on top of that, we had neighborhood meetings, and we used Social Pinpoint to gather input on our webpage. And we had almost 1,000 people give input through our webpage on what they thought would be best for our community. This effort was a huge success. So looking at other communities, our 2040 plan had the most robust engagement process to help develop a comprehensive plan for a vision for Maplewood's future development. Thank you, Mike, and your team. One of the city's challenges is attracting and retaining great workers, and we heard in our discussion with our business community that's a challenge for them as well. Our Assistant City Manager and HR Director, Mike Funk, and his team have streamlined hiring and onboarding. Mike has implemented software that can help us guide our staff from the hiring process through the annual performance review. We're better communicating with our employees and engaging them, and we're making sure that they're on track to achieve our goals and objectives, which all fall into our strategic priorities, which you see on the banner. Looking outward, he, along with Lois Knudsen, who is not here today, have implemented Invisio, which allows us to report to our residents and our businesses on how we're doing with our strategic plan and the outcomes. And these can be found on our webpage, and we're just about ready to do the final report for 2018. That should be up and running within the next couple weeks. Mike and his employees have also made wellness and engagement a key priority. We have had a 0% increase in our healthcare premiums in the last 3 of 4 years, and that is pretty much unheard of. And I do believe that this is because of our wellness programs. This also includes a wonderful partnership for employee memberships here at the YMCC, so we're really pleased to have that. Thanks, Mike. These are just a few of the things that we're doing as department heads. I would like to just acknowledge a couple more people. First is Joe Sheeran, he's right there, and his communication team, Chad and Kevin. They have really stepped up our game in reaching out to our businesses and our community. Last year, they created 75 videos talking about the different projects and programs that we're doing in the city of Maplewood. And I have to say, they are just delightful. They're fun, they're informative, and they're very creative. And so I'm really proud of this team, and I really appreciate how they provide and promote these services for our city. We are getting noticed for our work. In fact, that they recently won an award for our Recycling Family Feud game. So that was pretty fun. So I'd also like to thank you for your work today, taping this and taking photos and coordinating everybody's part in this. So thank you very much. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge Ron Beatty, our city attorney. I wanted to thank them because they have been really instrumental in guiding us through a crazy election season. We had a coin toss, we had a recount, and now we're trying to figure out what state law will allow us to do in terms of replacing our mayor and Councilmember Zhang. So we really thank them for their assistance and guidance through these last couple months. And finally, I'd like to thank Gina Kuchenmeister and the staff who were involved in planning today's event. This year, we're going to do something a little bit differently. Since we don't have our mayor here this year, we are going to hear from all three of our council members. So I would like to thank Councilmember Juniman, Councilmember Abrams, and Councilmember Smith for being here and being willing to speak, and I know you all like to do that. But thank you for your service and policy guidance over the last year. It's been most appreciated. And you will hear from them right after lunch. So thank you, everybody. Welcome.
If you want to see a snapshot of business success in Maplewood, just take a look at the three honorees we're going to present to you over the next hour. The first one has around 125 years experience in Maplewood, providing our loved ones with a dignified resting place. Another has grown with the city over the past half century, delivering badly needed service when it comes to driving on Minnesota roads. And we know that the last one is just getting started at a mere 9 years with the city. They serve up a good time, but they also serve the city and its citizens as well. In the next hour, you're going to learn more about each of these organizations and how they've become assets to our community. But first, after more than a century, Union Cemetery isn't going anywhere. That's what their Assistant Superintendent Dominic Pierre tells us, at least. When they build, expand, or make an upgrade, it has to last. And recently, that's meant a closer eye on environmental sustainability.
We've been fairly conscious of being environmentally sustainable. Just to receive the award means quite a bit to everybody. We're a 60-acre property. We have a lot of green space inside a very urban area. We had roughly about 60 50-gallon barrels. That's what we used before, 50-gallon plastic barrels. There was a lot of the compost and recycling involved, and we were trying to pull out the recycling. It just wasn't efficient, and we figured there got to be a better way. Now we've reduced it to 6 stations of 3 barrels, so we have 18 barrels. They're larger barrels, and they're strategically placed. So we have our recycling here, our trash bin here, and then our yard waste here, which actually helps a lot.
They didn't have to do that, but they recognized they can achieve their daily business goals and protect the environment at the same time.
I think this walkway came out fabulous. I think it looks really fantastic, especially against the black granite that we have up here. To unite the Veterans Memorial with the Columbarium, we put these pavers in. And the difference between these pavers and normal pavers is that when we dig down to put the pavers down, we put crushed rock instead of class 5 and also finishing sand, which water will go through these pavers and it'll dissipate when we have large rainfall instead of going off into our streets and sewers. We're actually in the process of changing out all our light fixtures to an LED light fixtures as well. And this is something that obviously is going to save us money in the long run, but also help the sustainability of the cemetery.
They're a beautiful part of the Maplewood community. This recognizes that they're a thoughtful member of the Maplewood community and our environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud on behalf of the City of Maplewood to present the Union Cemetery, the Environmental Sustainability Award.
I just want to thank the city of Maplewood for this award. Obviously, we're on the southern end of the city, and so we get barraged on a daily basis, explaining to people that no, we are not in St. Paul, and no, we are not in Oakdale. We are proud members of the city of Maplewood. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So every year we have a member of our Maplewood faith community present our invocation. Today we're honored to have Mr. Ansari from the As-Salam Mosque. Mr. Ansari, if you would deliver the invocation.
I'd like to greet you all with the Islamic greeting, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be upon you. I'm going to recite the first chapter from the Holy Quran, and then I will give the translation also. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and thanks are to God, the Lord of the world, most gracious, most merciful, the only owner of this, or the day of recompense, or the day of resurrection. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for your help. Guide us to the straight way, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who earn your anger, nor of those who went astray. Amen. Yes, amen. Almighty God, bless this gathering and help and guide us to achieve our goals. Amen. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank, on behalf of the Islamic Institute of Minnesota and the Muslim community of the city of Maplewood, the officials of city of Maplewood, especially the police and the fire departments, for helping us clean up the Masjid As-Salam when it was vandalized last summer. We are grateful and thankful for your support. Thank you all, and thank you for inviting me today.
You know, it used to be when a business got a phone call from the city asking to come out and visit with them, that it would be met with, shall we say, some concern or suspicion. What does the city want from me now? Well, what we've learned when we began reaching out with our business retention or business engagement visits several years ago, thankfully has come to pass that over the last 2 years, in our partnership with the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce, they've been able to break the ice for us a little bit. Our partnership with the Chamber has been invaluable to our business engagement program. And as Melinda mentioned earlier, of the 35 businesses that we've spoken with in the past couple years, there are 2 issues that are most commonly shared from those businesses. First, they love our public safety department. So to our public safety department, thank you for being a great face of the city of Maplewood with our businesses. They love our safety department's responsiveness, they love their professionalism, and on the visits I was with, they do like a certain police officer's superhero suit. They should be laughing, I don't think anyone else will get it. But secondly, our businesses are having a hard time attracting and hiring workers with the right skills for their business. So in planning today's event, we wanted a speaker who could empathize with that challenge and speak to that with our businesses and organizations to help them navigate the generational and skills changes that are hitting our workforce. Ann Anaya is Chief Diversity Officer at 3M. She has helped her company think through these issues internally and in collaboration with peer companies and the state. Ms. Anaya joined 3M in 2013 and is also its Global Diversity and Inclusion Strategic Lead. She's received several awards for her legal work and inclusion efforts, including 2016's 3M Gives Award, the company's highest honor for community service. She's also a recipient of the Minnesota Hispanic Bar Association's 2015 Manuel Guerrero Courage in Leadership Award, the 2016 Minnesota Lawyer Attorney of the Year Award, and is a 2017 Minnesota Lawyer Diversity and Inclusion honoree. Prior to joining 3M, Ms. Anaya served as federal prosecutor for the Department of Justice in Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ann Anaya.
Well, thank you for having me today. It's my great pleasure to be here with you, and it's such an honor to be with you at your end of the year or year in review. I'm here to talk about diversity and inclusion, and instead of going through bullet points about how to best accomplish that, I'd rather share experiences and stories to help you understand, at least from my perspective, how diversity and inclusion and a culture of inclusion gives us all an advantage, a business advantage, an innovation advantage, a growth advantage. So whether you're a community, a corporation, or a government, diversity and inclusion has to be a priority. Now, when I see the two signs, the banners next to me on my right and left, I see to my right, Maplewood, an inclusive and diverse community. And then I see to my left, strategic priorities, and on the top is community inclusiveness. So the three key elements of how to accomplish diversity and inclusion goals is key number one, make them a priority. And here we are. So we can check that one, key number one. And we know why it's so important to make them a priority, because Harvard Business Review and McKinsey have all found through studies that to make complex decisions, to create new and different solutions to old and new problems, and to be at the front of attracting the best talent, diversity and inclusion has to not only be a priority, but key number two, resources have to be put toward that priority. Accountability has to be made a part of that priority. Processes must be put in place to treat diversity and inclusion like a business imperative. And finally, key number three is recognition. When we see people, when we see actions, when we see processes that support and enhance diversity and inclusion, that we recognize them, we reward them, and we call them out as best practices. But let me start first with a little bit about my background and some examples of diversity and inclusion, because without inclusion, I would not be standing here. I was born here in St. Paul, raised in Inver Grove Heights to a working class poor family. I'm the first professional in my family. And when I was going to Simley High School in Inver Grove Heights, my dean of students said to me, it was at the beginning of my 11th grade year, you know, what you should do is take up a trade. Knowing your family's background, knowing where you're at, I think what you should do is take up a trade. How about the work-study program? And because I have a little bit of a defiant disorder, that was inspiration for me to work on a financial aid packet for the University of Minnesota. So I went to undergrad political science at the University of Minnesota and went to law school. Never knew a lawyer until I went to law school. And found myself after the first year of law school saying to myself, I really do not fit in. I didn't even know what a trust fund baby was, but when I found out what it was so foreign to me, it was crazy, and my class was full of them. The language, the culture of the law school was very foreign to me. And it wasn't until my trial advocacy class where Chief Judge Michael Davis was my professor at the time, and we were giving our opening arguments early on in the class, and he singled me out and told me to stay after. And I thought, okay, this is it. He's, I'm in trouble now. But he took the time to tell me that there was something that I had, a gift for advocacy, and that I should follow that. Because once someone has a gift, it is quite a shame not to leverage that gift. And so it was that one small meeting that led to me moving into being a trial attorney for 20 years. And I did that as a public defender, as a Ramsey County prosecutor, and 11 years as a federal prosecutor. So for all of you here in public service, my hat goes off to you, because it is public service that really makes communities and governments worth all that we need them to be for the citizens of cities and countries. So thank you for your public service. But I say to you that inclusive behaviors like the one with Judge Michael Davis calling me and calling attention to my gift, it's those small things that inclusive behavior that leads to a culture that supports and allows for leveraging those talents, those differences that will really lead to creativity, growth, innovation. So I talked about 3 key things that allow for success in diversity and inclusion goals, but there are also 3 keys to an inclusive culture. And it comes from leadership that does these 3 things. Encourage those people to leverage their talents. We talked about everybody has a strength, the strength finder. That talent, that strength needs to be encouraged. And when it is encouraged, it allows for someone to become even more than they thought they could be, to do and accomplish more than they thought they could. But it has to be encouraged. Then, key number 2, there has to be a stretch opportunity provided to those individuals. That stretch opportunity that leverages that gift, that strength, that talent in a way that might be new and different, but will allow for an outcome that is above and beyond the norm or the status quo. Encourage, stretch, and then finally support. When you put people into that new opportunity, that stretch opportunity, and you watch them grow into it and then move beyond it, that is with support. We may not make the final best innovation the first time round. And the answer might be no, but then eventually yes, if we continue that support. So to allow for the encouragement, the opportunity, and the support, it must come together, and it must come from leadership. Yes, there is a part that must be played by the individual that is allowed the opportunity, but the leadership to allow that culture, that environment that allows for the support of that individual to seek out and actually realize the most from that strength or that talent is so important. So let me give you 2 examples. When I was working at the Department of Justice, serving as an assistant United States attorney here in the District of Minnesota, after 11 years, I thought that now was the time, if ever, to go into the private sector. And I applied to one company, and only one, and that was 3M. And I applied to 3M because I knew it to be a gold standard employee. I had 2 relatives that worked there, one on the production line in Cottage Grove and one who started out in the mailroom, my aunt and uncle from the west side. So I applied online, didn't know a soul, and lo and behold, I was hired. And the general counsel, Ivan Fong, pulled me aside after I was offered the position, and he said, I want to take advantage in a way that is new and different, your experience with the government and government agencies. I want to do something different, and here it is. Most big companies hire big law firms when there are government investigations, and those lawyers deal with the government and come to a resolution of a government investigation. But instead of doing that, I want you to be the face of 3M. I don't want a big law firm and a fancy pants, silk stocking lawyer going in and representing 3M. I want them to know that you are the face of 3M and you build the credibility and trust with the government. And so we did that. And I have to say that I was surprised about the courage about that. Didn't know how it would work, but we've had great success with that strategy. So what is that? That's encouraging me to do something new and different. It's providing me a stretch opportunity, and it's support along the way, because government investigations last for years. And there needs to be support in creating the patience to get to the end and get to the best result. The second example is in the position I am right now. So I've been a trial lawyer for 20 years. I was a lawyer for 3M for a number of years. And then suddenly this position of Chief Diversity Officer in HR becomes available. Now, I'm not an HR person. I've never been an HR person. I've always been deeply passionate and deeply involved in the community, the Hispanic community here, and in diversity and inclusion, because as I said from the beginning, without inclusive behaviors, I would not be standing before you. So the Senior Vice President of HR at the time, Marlene McGrath, asked me to visit her in her office and talk to me about this position. And I said to her what I just said to you, Marlene, I'm not an HR person. I've never been an HR person. Yes, I'm passionate about this, but you're asking me to take on a global strategy in an area that is new for me. And she looked at me and said, I would not ask you to do this if I didn't have 100% confidence in your ability to succeed. I want you to try it. If you don't like it, then you can treat it as a project and move on. Go back to legal affairs if you want. So what I found was the fact that I didn't come from a process-oriented HR background and instead a legal deductive reasoning background to focus on outcome as opposed to process was really an advantage. Not because the process and HR expertise didn't matter, no, because I could add my deductive reasoning to it. So I have on my team the HR expertise, I added the deductive reasoning and legal background, And we also added a communication and branding component, a design component to our global strategy. We talked about the communication team that I saw the videos of the communication team, and they're fantastic. But what I realized is, in addition to the process, in addition to the deductive reasoning, unless you have professional storytellers to get the job done, you're not going to get it done. So, encourage, stretch, support has to also include surrounding yourself with people with talents different than your own. Back to the strength finder. I have to know my strength, I have to know my weaknesses, and I have to know that we are stronger together when we bring my strength with those other strengths together to accomplish great things. But I will end with this point. The priority of inclusion and diversity, and bringing that together into a community and a culture. We do that and we accomplish more when we celebrate and value people different than ourselves. Different backgrounds, different physically, different abilities, different ethnicities and races. When we truly value that diversity and we include that value into the solution, that's when we accomplish great things. So in 2019, I hope that the City of Maplewood celebrates a year of inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ann. We appreciate that. In the mid-1960s, the average cost of a car was about $3,000. When Minnesota's harsh winters took their tolls, continue to take their tolls on our tires, you could get them replaced at that time at Keith Venberg's new shop on Highway 61 for about 25 to 30 bucks a tire. I don't think that's still current, is it? The 25 to 30 bucks? But while the auto industry and Venberg Tire and Service have changed extensively since the mid-60s, Venberg's commitment to the community, customers, and its employees has remained extraordinary.
Venberg Tire began in 1968. My grandfather, Keith Venberg, opened up a shop across the street from where we currently are on Highway 61, like I said, in 1968, and we've been in business and in the family since then.
It's fantastic that they have grown from being a tire store. They've survived the constant change on Highway 61. They've added service to their offering in that time and continue to be a valuable and, in their case, an independent business in the city of Maplewood.
For us to stay in business these days, it's all about service. Everybody talks about how their service is better than others, but that's the only way you can stay in business these days with competing with big box stores who are based solely off of price. You know, you get to know the customers, you know them, you know their families. The majority of our customers are repeat customers and second, third, even fourth generation customers. So you just get to know people and you stay involved in the community.
This is our way of recognizing those companies that invested in their location in our city decades ago and continue to invest in our community and continue to serve our community.
You do see our names on the back of hockey jerseys and football jerseys and lacrosse jerseys, and we're involved in, you know, Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and anything you can think of. We put a lot of money back into the community because we want to see our community grow.
We want to thank them for being an example to other companies that are trying to decide, is Maplewood a good place to start a business? Can Maplewood sustain a business for many years? And will we be able to grow in Maplewood? Venberg Tire shows that the answers are yes, yes, and yes.
We really like our location. We're placed perfectly in between all the dealerships, right on Dealership Row, just south of 694, north of 36. You're right in just a perfect location. So there's no real need to move out of Maplewood, and they treat us well when we're here.
On behalf of the City of Maplewood, I'm proud to have our council member present the Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Growth Award to Kevin McFarland and Brian Horning from Venberg Tire Company. As City Manager Melinda Coleman said in her opening remarks, people around the state are starting to take notice of Maplewood and what it's accomplishing. Some of them for interesting, but all of them for good reason. Since our former mayor is now the chair of the Metropolitan Council, we're taking a new approach to our State of the City speech by asking all three council members to recap our 2018 success and highlight what's ahead in the new year. To kick it off, please welcome a council member who knows the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, and the amazement of a tie, all in one election, Councilmember Marilee Abrams.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to this wonderful event. I bring regards, special regards from our former mayor, Nora Slawick. I saw her last night at the 2019 Minnesota Chamber of Commerce Legislative Dinner, and she wanted to make sure that I expressed kind regards to all of you here. She wishes that she could be here, but as we all know, she has now moved up, I should say, and is now the chair of the Metropolitan Council. Also this week, I saw Senator Chuck Uyghur, Representatives Peter Fisher, and Leon Lilly on Tuesday evening, and I asked them if they were coming to the event today, and they all indicated that they had mandatory training at the legislature today, and so consequently they couldn't make it here. But seated in the front, I want to acknowledge Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt. Thank you for coming today. And Ann, I wanted to thank you for your presentation. That was really very inspiring because really that's, I think, a key important point for our city is this whole idea of inclusiveness, and I thought you did a great presentation. You know, we're fortunate to have a global brand like 3M in our very own community. You know, what's also impressive, but not necessarily a surprise, is that Minnesota is in the top 3 for Fortune 500 companies per capita. I say it's not a surprise because Minnesotans have a wonderful curiosity, an innovative spirit, plenty of stamina, and resilience. We also understand the importance of community and supporting each other. From small towns all the way up to the state, our local governments work to support and partner with our businesses. We know their success in our community means our community's success. That's why, as a city, we invest in education, we invest in infrastructure, and we invest in community assets. We listen to our corporate and organizational partners, and we work to establish fair and predictable policies that help businesses grow in our community, and we support their workforces. Because their workers are our friends, they're our neighbors, and they're our family. We support each other, and we dream big together. Yes, there is the sandpaper company to the south of us that turned into a global titan. But as you heard, we also have and need businesses like the small tire shop that's grown with us for 50 years, adapting to changes in our community and in their industry. And I know you have changed and repaired a number of my family's tires and my neighbor's tires as well. Venberg Tire is a Maplewood fixture and an awesome example of how a business can start, expand, and become a valuable asset in our community. You'll also hear about 3 guys and their dream to run a bar, grill, and entertainment venue in Maplewood. And after just a few years in the community, they started sharing their success with those less fortunate. Stay tuned for their story after our speeches. Collectively, we have cut plenty of ribbons in 2018 for new businesses and companies expanding their Maplewood footprint. Today, this afternoon, in fact, I am going over to the Cub store to celebrate their remodel and grand reopening over on County Road B and Rice. The other businesses that have either expanded or come to our city. We've got a variety of commercial opportunities such as women-owned businesses like the Salon Professional Training Academy and 9 Round Fitness Center, both and minority-owned businesses like a laundromat, an in-home care provider, a Porsche dealership, and many more. Another significant opening is the new Frost English Silver, a 55 market rate apartment complex with all of the latest recreational and entertainment amenities. It's the latest project in the Gladstone Corridors redevelopment running along Frost Avenue. In the coming months, Council will review plans to improve the streetscape on the final section of Frost Avenue. It'll be more bike and pedestrian friendly, and there'll be new landscaping that will also slow the flow of traffic along Frost Avenue. This spring, we'll open up the doors to Wakefield Park, our community building, and unveil improved athletic fields over there. In dreaming big, 2019's budget set aside funds to acquire outmoded property in the Gladstone Corridor to help spur new commercial development. This area was once the heart of Maplewood's commercial district, and we want to ensure that it thrives as a modern commercial center with a mix of residential, retail, healthcare, and entertainment opportunities. Elsewhere in Maplewood, 2019 will welcome Elk Ridge, an Alzheimer's specialty care center on Beam Avenue. The parcel where Baker Square once stood on White Bear Avenue will feature a dental office and a pizza shop. Across the street, there will be a newly built freestanding Panera Bread. That will open this spring. We're about to issue a building permit for a new 152-unit apartment building that's being built north of Costco. It's called Trails Edge Apartments. This is a $20 million project and will provide more housing choices in the North End. Also this spring, construction of a new $12 million Mercedes-Benz dealership will begin on Highway 61. These are just a few of the many projects that are slated for 2019. One of our major opportunities for economic expansion and community growth is the North End. It's the area beyond the mall, around the mall from Beam to 694 and White Bear to the Vento Trail. Our preliminary market study shows that this area is already a premier activity center for the Northeast metropolitan area. It includes over 2 million square feet of retail space and encompasses over 5,000 jobs. 40% of those jobs are in the healthcare industry. St. John's Hospital and other healthcare providers already consume a large footprint there. We have a great opportunity to expand a viable transit line to the area as Maplewood continues working with Ramsey County and the Metropolitan Council, did I say now under the chair of our former mayor, Nora Slawick. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there. On planning a new multi-million-dollar bus rapid transit line, the Rush Line, with 2 stations serving the North End and 3 more serving other parts of Maplewood. On the mall's outskirts, buildings are being renovated for new uses, including retail. This is where I'm asking our staff, our community, our business leaders, and organizational partners to dream big. The shopping complex of the 90s that we all knew is outdated, but there is still a need for a central gathering spot for dining, entertainment, education, shopping, and living. With an already established healthcare infrastructure, we can easily add seeing your doctor to that list. If we dream big, the possibilities are limitless. I see an international marketplace selling food, spices, furnishing, and other items that attract our newcomers and longtime residents looking for something unique. In the summertime in that area, I see a farmer's market and a skating rink in the winter. I see an educational center for a nursing program that partners with St. John's Hospital or a state-of-the-art trade school to train our future plumbers, electricians, and mechanics. I see Century College President Angelina Melander sitting out here, and I just spoke with her last night and suggested, wouldn't that space be wonderful for a partnership, between two different entities in terms of a public-private partnership and bringing in a trade school or something to that area. I believe we need to dream big. There are already plans on the horizon for a new hotel in the area. One of our business leaders is calling for a water park to attract families. So, here's where we are. Late last summer, we kicked off the North End Vision Plan to reimagine the entire area up there, the North End. We hired Perkins & Will, a planning and design firm, to help us guide this project for the city. After convening some open houses, we've established a formal North End group. It includes the City Council, key city board and commission representatives, and other community members representing residents, businesses, nonprofits, and governmental partners. As part of the next phase, we're anticipating a preliminary set of findings and recommendations in the coming months. To learn more about the plan and help shape this area, you can visit our North End webpage on the city website. There's also more information in the annual report that's on the table in front of you if you take a look at page 15. I started this speech highlighting our businesses. I'd like to end it by making a commitment to our citizens. Without you, we don't have a community. We've grown from a conglomeration of villages into a thriving Twin Cities suburb. We've done that by working together to invest in amenities like parks and trails, recreation centers, programming for all ages, well-maintained streets and roadways, and a professional, responsive public safety agency. We need to dream big together in 2019 so that we can continue making Maplewood a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. She is more senior on the council, since right now our council is a little bit smaller than usual. I consider myself to be the second senior in command, but Kathy is our most senior council member, having served how many terms, Kathy?
4.
Serving 4 terms on the council. If there's ever anyone who you want to find out about the history of Maplewood, where we've been, what all of the things that have come before, Kathy is our historian on the council. And so please, let's give her a warm welcome. Kathy's going to talk about the environmental projects of our city.
That was polite of her to call me the historian. I'm just an old lady, actually. It is really my pleasure to speak to you about our environmental projects here in the city of Maplewood, because it makes us a very well-known community. I can't even remember exactly when it started, but I do believe it goes back for me back to 1987, excuse me, where I was on the recycling task force. Boy, does that sound antique. And we had our first drop-off for recycling up on the hill, and we thought we were just really out there, which we were, but we didn't stop. We have been on a roll ever since. And I want to point out that this really is exciting to me, because I think our sustainability piece is three-legged, kind of like the three-legged stool. It's financial sustainability, it's operational sustainability, and it's environmental sustainability, and that last one makes the other two much more effective. We have a long record, established track record in dreaming big environmentally, as Ms. Abrams talked, because we were one of the first cities to enter into the Green Step Cities program. That started in, I think, late 2009. We went in 2010. We fairly rapidly advanced, and we have achieved one of the first communities to achieve Step 5 and maintained it. As a matter of fact, when we were awarded Step 5 the first time 3 years ago, they didn't even have the award designed yet, because we were ahead of the game. Just to help you a little bit with what environmental sustainability means to us in Maplewood, it's land preservation, it's water quality and conservation, energy conservation, green building, urban agriculture, our nature center and environmental education programs, recycling, and of course, organized collection. Our environmental team in the city has grown from the environmental committee in 2003 to the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission in 2009, an internal green team made up of staff who keeps the city environmentally correct, and an environmental planner in our community development department. We're one of the only cities to have that. As I mentioned, we were one of the first cities to enter into the Green Step Cities program, and you're evaluated in about many things. It includes energy use, which some of the business here and some of our residents have participated in the past. Stewardship and land use, yoo-hoo, Fish Creek. Expanding transportation options and helping ensure, easy for me to say, economic development and the environment aren't at odds. Because sometimes as you look at development and redevelopment, you think, uh-oh, what about that wetland? Well, in Maplewood, it's protected. But you also have staff to work with you, that would be the environmental planner, to make things happen and still keep our environment at the top of our list. To let you know what happened with our energy program, that was 3 years ago when we started, which was Energize Maplewood, and then we re-energized Maplewood a year later. We had participation from 2,300 households and almost 300 businesses. For those of you in the business community, if you're not aware of what this can do for you, you can talk to our environmental planner. Those who've already done it can speak to it. Even just replacing all of your light bulbs with LED light bulbs will make a difference in what kind of money you pay out. Ask the people from Union Cemetery. We are constantly striving to reduce greenhouse gases. And this isn't just a buzzword in Maplewood, it's an action. We have fleet management people in Public Works working on it. We have an idling, shall I say, reducer in the police department. Lots of things can be done differently if we just try. When it comes to the electrical energy reduction, we also want to talk about renewable resources. And right now, we have nearly 8,000 rooftops in our city that are viable for solar energy. So to say that we are going to start working on that and need to encourage people and help people get interested is an understatement. As I've already mentioned, it's not just about saving energy. It's about a lot of things, including clean water. Ms. Abrams referred to our program over at Lake Wakefield. And finally, we've known for a long time it had to be done, but you have to get there. We are finally going there. I think it was 3 years ago we started the spent lime deposit drain with the watershed district. And we are now going to add the one up on Silver Lake so that we'll be helping them as well. If you haven't been over to Frost Avenue lately, she pointed out the 2 new developments. Across the street is one of our gyms, the Gladstone Savannah. And it has finally come to the point where we could reopen it and re-grand open it this summer. And it has interpretive signage to help you with the environmental and the natural and the historical value of that property. And to tell you how that impacts the Silver apartments over there, one of the first things the developer said was, look what's across the street. It's senior living, and people can walk out their front door and walk those trails. So it does have an economic impact. Also this past year, we adopted an urban agriculture ordinance to take away some of the barriers to having healthy foods. And we have expanded our Edgerton Community Garden on the west side of the city to accommodate more growers by adding ADA accessible raised beds and a wheelchair ramp. In 2019, perhaps the largest environmental project will be the master plan for the 40-acre nature center. If you've not been there, it's kind of down in the South Lake, sort of. It's right northeast of 3M. There's lots of 3Mers who have eaten their lunches there over the years. It is 40 years old. It has served a wonderful purpose. It's our major educational outreach to residents, students, anybody who wants to come and walk some wonderful trails. But it's more than bird watching. It's more than pollinator gardens. It's a whole lot of energy that you can pick up from being in a place like that. But as you know, 40 years later, we have to look forward. And so now we are going to assess what we have, how it's worked, what kind of staffing it will require to make it an even more significant part of our community. And I would be remiss if I didn't, again, point out that we are in great debt to our watershed districts, particularly Ramsey, Washington, because they have helped us with many of our environmental programs. And wonderful things happen when you work together. And as everybody knows, trying to do more with less, everybody needs to work together. I want to acknowledge the businesses who have seen the bottom line benefits of being greener. And I want to encourage others of you to try and do the same. You have energy savings, increased productivity because you have more money to put where you need it. And we can acknowledge places like Gethsemane Lutheran Church, who churches all need money, as we know. We're able to save thousands of dollars on its electricity thanks to our guidance through our environmental planning department on their sustainability efforts. You can talk to Strauss Skates, Costumes Plus, and the Salvation Army, who also participated in our Energize Maplewood program. It really pays off. Thanks to the cooperative spirit among staff, residents, businesses, the city at large, Maplewood has always been an environmental leader. And as long as I'm standing here, we're going to stay there. Only we're going to get better. I'm asking that you keep up your own stewardship and continue dreaming big about energy reduction, better ways to use our land, cutting down on pollution, and finding ways to reduce, reuse, and recycle. As Ms. Abrams said, all of us have a stake and a role in keeping our city vital to live in, to work in. We also have a stake and a role in making Maplewood clean, healthy, environmentally sustainable, so that we can all enjoy it and be healthy here. P.S. I have to give a plug too. In your sustainability report, you can look at pages 22 and 23 to see how good we are. Thank you. And now I get to present the guy on the team, Mr. Brian Smith.
I just really was moved by what Ann had to say, and I think as we're, as a council, facing some big decisions over the next, frankly, few days, I just want to say I am so grateful to be part of a team of council members, with Councilmember Abrams, Councilmember Juniman, as well as former Mayor Slawick and former Councilmember Zhang, of people who brought different strengths to the dais, and people who were able to teach me things, all of them, and make me a better council member because of their contributions. And as much as we have these big decisions to make over the next few days, I'm pretty confident we're going to be in a really great place. And the good news is we've got a core of really good people, and we've got a lot of really good folks waiting in the wings to join our team. So just a big thanks to Councilmember Abrams and Councilmember Juniman, and just I'm really looking forward to working together through this time, because I think it's going to be really fun, actually. And I think in the long run, the changes we're going through right now are really positive. And so, community inclusiveness, as Ann mentioned, it's first on this list. And inclusiveness, or as I like to think about it more as connectedness, is an ideal I think we can all value. But truly creating connectedness takes a tremendous amount of work, focus, and tenacity. It doesn't happen quickly, and it takes a sustained and coordinated effort. Plus, it's hard to measure, and I'm not sure I know how to measure it, but I'm pretty sure we all know it when we see it. The vast majority of community connectedness happens without any help from the city. It's welcoming the new neighbor to your street. It's snow blowing someone else's driveway because you know they're out of town during the snowstorm. It's sitting at the picnic table on a beautiful Minnesota evening, having a beer with your neighbor after work. Those are ways we find to connect with each other. But as a city, we have to continue to find ways to provide more ways to create connections, to keep broadening how and with whom people find connection in Maplewood. This can range from newsletters and events, leaders and staff knocking on doors, social media, and even council meetings. But while this effort is shared across the city and across our city government specifically, there are 3 departments who've shown outstanding leadership in bringing our community together this past year. Those departments are Public Safety, Parks and Recreation, and Public Works. Each of these groups are busy doing their day jobs, keeping our city safe, keeping our infrastructure sound, and our parks vibrant. In addition to this, however, these teams have coordinated with each other to create opportunities for the council, commissions, city staff, and most importantly, residents to come together, have fun, and celebrate our diverse community. Collectively, the city held close to 100 community gatherings in 2018. Despite impressive thunderstorms, thousands headed to Hazelwood Park for the 4th of July fireworks. Families packed the lot just outside this room for the summer Touch a Truck event. Members of the Corinne community crowded the street for what's become an annual block party. These events are critical for a number of reasons. First, it gives city leaders and staff a chance to connect with community members in an informal setting. We can listen to their concerns, hear their stories, in an environment that's more natural than in the official setting of a meeting. I'll give you some context. As council members, we spend several hours typically reading through reports and budget documents to prepare for workshops and council meetings. Of course, they provide valuable information from our staff, but it's our job to read between the lines of that information and understand and evaluate to the best of our ability what impacts our decisions will have on residents. It's not often we hear directly from residents, and when we do, it's typically from those who are expressing concerns or frustrated with how they view these potential impacts for themselves and their immediate neighbors. This is important input, but it usually remains to us to understand what people who are supportive of an initiative might have to say. They don't typically call us. We try to get input from residents in other broad-based ways like social media, surveys, and more traditional meetings like public hearings and formal neighborhood meetings. But, people are busy, and sometimes these methods are just not as effective as we'd like them to be. But at these events, in just a few minutes over a hot dog standing next to a snowplow or near the food trucks at the 4th of July, we get the privilege of hearing how people really feel about their roads, what's happening in their neighborhoods, then some more about their roads, and ideas on their new developments, and then usually a little bit more about their roads. But seriously, it's honest, it's unfiltered, and incredibly valuable perspective on the issues that face our city. The other gift of these city organized gatherings is for members of our community to get to know each other. Actually, this probably has to be the number one priority for us, to get to know each other in order to keep us from becoming the other. My colleagues and I have always characterized Maplewood as a welcoming place that celebrates diversity. And while the city as a whole enjoys a vibrantly diverse community, which is growing more diverse all the time, this is not always the case neighborhood to neighborhood. So we don't always have the opportunity to connect with fellow residents who may look different, may have very different life experiences, or different perspectives on things. While our diversity continues to grow, we're still a majority white population, about 70% today. On the other hand, when you look at the public elementary and middle schools in Maplewood's city limits, nearly 70% of those students are non-white. This is a window into the near future of how our community will continue to evolve. These students are going to graduate. They're going to find a calling in their life, and hopefully they're going to settle their families back here in Maplewood. For that reason, it is critical we continue to seek connections across race, ethnicity, age, faiths, and other elements of our identities that can divide us if we're not careful. As we strive for this connectedness, there are prerequisites for achieving it. We must have sound infrastructure. We must have a vibrant local economy that's providing great jobs. And more than anything, we must keep our communities safe and healthy. This is what inspires the excellence and passion of our public safety department every day. That department comprised of an outstanding team of police, fire, and EMS professionals. Here's 3 exciting ways they're raising the bar themselves once again. First, they continue to create a culture of excellence and best practices. The good news is we already have fantastic resources within the department, And sometimes it's just about getting people working cross-functionally to cultivate those talents with each other. Many folks might not realize this, but every single one of our firefighters have extensive medical training and are either paramedics or EMTs. In 2019, the city will partner with Regents Hospital to increase the level of training for our police officers as well, to improve the outcomes for people in crisis if an officer gets to the scene before a firefighter or paramedic is able to be there. Conversely, our police officers have been training for some time now on advanced skill sets around de-escalation techniques. And our police officers are now going to begin training our firefighters and EMTs in those same de-escalation techniques in the event they are responding to someone who is agitated or potentially dangerous to themselves or others, and they happen to be the first ones on the scene. Second, like me, there are many people in our neighborhoods who are suffering from a mental illness. Most are well managed, find ways to thrive, and are living rich lives. There are those, however, who may find themselves in crisis. Often, law enforcement is the first on the scene to help them, to de-escalate the situation, and to find them a safe place to be. Across our country and here in Minnesota, resources for law enforcement to help people in crisis are woefully inadequate. We all know that taking someone to jail is not likely to help, but often that's the only option. We need to not only find more resources for people in crisis, but we also need to make sure we are leveraging every possible resource we already have. That is something we can do a lot quicker than building new resources. With that in mind, the city is working to make sure our police department has deep connections to the social service and healthcare partners to ensure our neighbors in crisis have the guidance they need to access these resources when they need them. And finally, it is essential we care for our seniors. The fire department has been conducting presentations over the last year or so to help seniors proactively fall-proof their homes. Not autumn-proof, but like don't fall down. To help prevent those accidents in their homes rather than respond to them after the damage is done. Meanwhile, the police department has also been doing great work sharing information through seminars as well on how to avoid scams targeted at seniors, which seem to be getting more and more common all the time. I find myself having to counsel my mom fairly regularly on how to not give out her personal information on these sorts of things. But as we continue to find better ways to deliver services, the fire and police teams are now combining these seminars and traveling to more than a dozen senior gathering places, including right here at the Maplewood Community Center, for a combined class on devoted to keeping our seniors healthy, safe, and happy. These are just a few examples of the ways city staff are committed to helping our community thrive. As we look forward to welcoming some new leaders, both on the council and on staff in the near future, we know there's a strong commitment to this culture of service within the city of Maplewood. We say it often, a city is a service business. I'm both proud of the service we provide, as well as the commitment this team has demonstrated to continually improve the quantity, quality, and efficiency of the services they provide. As Councilmember Abrams said, we'll continue to dream big. And these dreams will be driven by a strong team of committed leaders, skilled city staff, along with a deep and wide team of state and county partners, community and business leaders, many of whom are in this room today, and our residents, all of whom have a part to play in making Maplewood remain on our track of sound government, quality service, and a vibrant community. Thank you to all of you for being here today, for the police, fire, EMS, public works, parks, economic developments, and all the staff who make these ideals we talk about reality every day. And most of all, thank you to the residents of Maplewood. It's you who make Maplewood a great place to live, to work, and to grow. Here's to all of our good fortune in 2019.
Our next awardee is a key player in the city's biggest community engagement event, the Lighted Up Maplewood 4th of July celebration. The Doghouse Bar and Grill uses its entertainment expertise to help us throw a great birthday bash for our country. But as we've learned, that's just one of their many community commitments.
Why would we try to make a dollar off everyone else's hard work without trying to help out the people that are working hard? We've been here for 9 years now. This is Chad Hauer. He's one of my business partners, and this is Mike Wegworth, the other business partner. All three of us are born and raised probably within 10 miles of here. Our families still live here. Well, happy birthday, Larry. How young are you?
69.
Attaboy. We are very adamant about giving donations to any benefits, any fundraisers for people. During Thanksgiving, we also feed 30 local families Thanksgiving dinners. We team up with the Salvation Army to make sure, to give back to some of the less fortunate, make sure that they eat just as good as everybody else does. This year we raised almost 300 pounds of coats and clothing and stuff for homeless people downtown.
That's awesome. The Doghouse is a great community business to work with. They've partnered with Parks and Recreation on a couple of events, and the big one that they're partners with is the 4th of July, the Lighted Up celebration. And
the Light Up Maplewood is a great thing for everybody in Maplewood and surrounding communities. We like to supply the music, give everyone a good time for the 4th of July.
Talking with them, it's definitely community engagement, and getting out in the community and being a part of the community is one of their #1 priorities as a business.
We're very honored that we were picked for this award itself. I think this is what business ownership should be about, is helping out more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present to the Community Contribution Award to the Doghouse Bar and Grill.
I'll make this short and sweet since it looks like we're running out of time. I just sincerely want to thank whoever was involved with giving us this award. For being a bar, being the Community Contribution Award probably isn't the most common thing. And also only being in business 9 years. Just in the same breath as companies like Union Cemetery and Venbrick Tires is an absolutely honor to us. And hopefully we can continue to be in Maplewood and keep giving back for many, many years to come. So thank you very much.
And to wrap up the event for you, I'm going to bring back City Manager Melinda Coleman.
But I really wanted to thank you all for attending today, and I would encourage you to take your copy of your annual report, Community Development Annual Report that was written and put together by the staff of the Community Development Department. It's an impressive document. It will give you information about our accomplishments in 2018, specific information, and also look ahead in 2019. I'd also like to thank our speakers and our community award winners. We appreciate all that you do for Maplewood. And I just have to say that I really appreciated everybody's comments today. And as someone who really believes in strengths in people, I have to comment that Ann's speech really resonated with me. And I'm sure some of my staff will pick up on that to encourage the use of our strengths. Also to encourage those stretch assignments. And that made me remember my career path and the people that gave me stretch assignments and gave me hope that I could do something that I didn't think I could do. And so it's those kind of people that make a big difference in everybody's life and made big difference in my career path. Also, I really appreciated your comments on the supportive culture. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is to be a mentor and to find someone in your organization that maybe you see some potential in that they might not even see. But you can offer to help have a conversation with them. You can help them give them advice if they're looking for it. I continually mentor people. It was something that I started doing when I worked at Target Corporation. That was a big part of their development process. And I still continue to do that. And I think that that's a really good way to support and create a culture of help and assistance and bring people along and bring people to their full potential. So really, I thank you all. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Bolton and Mink and City and County Credit Union, for your continued support of the City of Maplewood. And I hope that you've made some connections today, found a little nugget of wisdom or something that you can take with you. And I hope to see you at our upcoming business council meetings this year. Thank you very much for being here.